Welcome to the Popish Plot. I'm Nate.
And I'm Mike.
And today we're here to talk about a little trip that we took. Well, we already mentioned the trip that we took. We were chosen by our council to be delegates to the state of Michigan annual state convention for the Knights of Columbus, located on splendid Mackinac Island.
But while we were there, just as Mother Teresa had a call within the call, we decided to have a little trip within the trip.
Yes. We had kind of mentioned it on our way up, but on our way back down, we said, no, we absolutely have to do this. It's a beautiful day. How could we pass it up? We made a little stop off in Indian River, Michigan, to visit the Cross in the Woods.
One of Michigan's top religious sites.
Yes. Now, it should be noted, there's a little bit of a misnomer here. I don't think it's intentional. I think it's merely the time, the way that time works, and the way that, in trying to be ecumenical. It is called the Cross in the Woods, but it is most definitely a crucifix in the woods.
It should be noted, not everyone has our same love of being technically correct.
Yes. Now, it is probably labeled the Cross in the Woods because originally that's what it was.
Yeah, it took several years before they could add the corpus. So initially they just had the giant 55-foot tall cross.
And in my head canon, I like to presume that they left it with that name both because it was convenient and because it was really more ecumenical. Crucifix in the Woods comes off a little popishy.
A little Romanish.
Yeah, which you know us, we don't mind.
We dig it.
But at the same time, you're going to attract more Christians by calling it the Cross in the Woods than by calling it the Crucifix in the Woods. On that note, though, be not mistaken. This is very much a Catholic pilgrimage site.
Super Catholic.
Oh my goodness. We got statues. We got repetitive prayers.
We got little shrines everywhere.
Yes, it's fantastic.
So, as we approached the cross, we took a slight detour. We discovered later.
We've been on the road for just a little bit and waiting for a boat before that, and on a boat, So we needed to make a little stop to listen to the call of nature.
The water closet.
Yes.
So instead of taking the direct beeline
to the cross,
front, we took the little side trip to the restroom.
Down the wheelchair accessible path.
And then reapproached.
Yes.
So, coming in this way, we found ourselves suddenly in the midst of St. Francis's Canticle of the Sun.
Not just in the midst, but literally smack dab in the middle of it.
You're supposed to enter over here.
Yeah, and then go and then work your way around. But over here, they've got a little spot, a little cut in to join the flow, as you will. And so we did, and we start going along and reading the prayers, and get about halfway through and realize, this sounds like the end.
And then the next station sounded an awful lot like the start.
It started an awful lot like the beginning.
So we eventually pieced it together.
But it was a delightful little premeditation, if you will.
And from there, we're onto the main path, and suddenly we see the cross.
Yes, it's magnificent.
It's enormous.
It's out. You hear Big Cross in the Woods, and you think Big Cross in the Woods, and then you get out, and then you get there, and you're like, "Oh, you meant that big?"
It's huge.
It's huge. It's like 55 feet tall.
50 feet tall.
Yeah. And I've done a lot of what's the word? Estimated measuring. I figure out, like, I'm 6 feet, right? So I look at where I would be up against something, and then I can go and do like this, right? There's a lot of me in 50 feet.
55.
There's a lot of me. There's more of me in 55. My goodness. I mean, that's 9 of me right there.
So you've come to the canticle. You're approaching the cross. The first thing you encounter is the figure of a beggar.
Yeah, has a little, sitting there with a robe, hands out, and a little dish in front of it that some people have very kindly gone and made some offerings in. Mm-hmm. I think there was a rosary. I saw a few other things, like a necklace or a charm or something like that.
It'd be interesting if we're there sometime when the main shop is open. It'd be interesting to know more about the traditions they have there.
Yes, absolutely. And as you walk past towards the middle of the seating area, mm-hmm. because the Cross in the Woods was designed to be a place to have worship and have an outdoor mass. Mm-hmm. So there's a seating area and there's a altar up at the front. Mm-hmm. But right smack dab in the middle, between essentially 4 quadrants of seats, mm-hmm. is a statue to Saint Kateri Tekakwitha.
Which is fitting because she is essentially the inspiration for the whole Cross in the Woods. In her short life, this is what she would do. She would go out away from the village to commune with God, to get away from the abuse and the persecution, and just make little shrines out in what was still a very virginal wilderness of North America.
But we went and we were there and we spent some time meditating and worshiping there in front of the cross.
Mm-hmm. And then Nate spied Stations of the Cross leading into the woods.
Just off to the side leading into the woods. And I'm like, you know what? It's not like we've got someplace we need to be. We should totally take the opportunity to do this.
On a Friday, no less.
On a Friday! So we go in, and it's a very nice, clean, well-maintained path. Sometimes
you're praying outdoor stations, and you're worried about tripping over roots. Not so.
Nope, they've got it's very well, they've gone and cleared it of growth in the middle. They've got wood chips down, so it's very well, it's very intentional path, mm-hmm. shall we say? Mm-hmm. And we're working our way through. We're sort of taking turns, alternating back and forth between who reads and who's the reader and who's the lector.
We just fell into an odd, even rhythm.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And we get to number 10. And we finish it, and there's a pair of columbaria there, which I need to find out more about. I already have a location for the eternal repose of my remains.
But Nate might be looking to upgrade.
And I imagine that all of these have already been paid for by the generous donors who made them possible.
But we don't know that.
But I don't know that. And, well, I mean...
It's worth investigating.
There's worse places for your remains to spend the remainder of Earth's time. And mortal Earth's time.
Yeah, to await your resurrection.
Exactly.
And then opposite the columbaria, we noticed there was a staircase.
Yeah, a little staircase.
Directly behind the cross.
Kind of narrow, kind of steep. And in walking up to it, we assumed that it was probably for service purposes, but...
There was no sign.
No sign.
No chain.
No barriers. Clearly nothing to discourage us from going up it. So we decided to take a pause in our stations and scurry right up. Mm-hmm. And it's fantastic. You get up there, and it's a big, wide space, and you can see out over everything. And you are literally at the base of the cross. You cannot get closer to it. And you look up, and you just cannot help but be amazed by the size of this corpus.
Bigger than life.
Way bigger than life.
Mm-hmm.
If Jesus was that big, the Romans would have been like, he's your problem. And the Jewish leaders would have been like, are there any children of David here? We got a Goliath problem.
But he is the son of David.
Son of David. He would have been like, yo, right here. It would have been hilarious. But I digress.
And so while we're up there at in the base of the cross, they've got the names of all the benefactors who made it possible that are buried at the root of it. And we noticed, so going off to the viewer's left or the Lord's right, a larger staircase.
Yes, much wider and a much more gradual grade to it. So, and we realized that I think we went up the exit stairs.
So just as we wandered into the middle of the Canticle of the Sun, we think we came up to the cross through the exit stairs.
And so we decide to stick with the theme and go down the upstairs, since we came up the downstairs.
But what's fascinating is this staircase is bifurcated.
Yep. It's basically 2 stairs in one.
There's normal stone stairs with a regular handrail.
And on the other side starting with stone steps with a few stone steps coming up, it then suddenly changes to marble steps.
Very smooth.
Very smooth. They have slightly less depth for each step. That way, it's easy to kind of. It's less of a step. Mm-hmm. And alongside that is a railing, which is much too short for most individuals to use while walking, and a sign that says, "Do not step on the marble stairs."
They're meant to be gone up on your knees.
Yes, this is a recreation, at least in spirit, of the holy stairs that can be found in Rome.
Rome.
That are based on a tradition that there were 28 stairs which led from where Jesus would have been kept to where Pilate was, for him to go and be judged by Pilate.
Mm-hmm. Ecce homo and whatnot.
Yeah, so he had to go up these 28 stairs. Mm-hmm. And the tradition is that you ascend these stairs on your knees. Hence the lower rail and the polished marble stairs instead of rough concrete.
Mm-hmm. And we also noticed, as soon as you get to the bottom, there's a sign saying, Station 12.
Yep.
So,
had we gone a little further and done Station 11, which was next after Station 10.
But we got distracted.
We got distracted, as we are wont to do. But had we gone a little further...
Viewers have never seen that.
No. Had we gone a little further and done Station 11, we would have then turned around and suddenly seen the sign for Station 12. And what is Station 12, Michael?
Jesus dies on the cross.
Jesus dies on the cross. Didn't even need to put a label on it. Just Station 12, because there it is.
Like it hadn't occurred to me beforehand, but I love how just beautiful and simple it is. The centerpiece of this entire shrine is a giant cross. So why have a secondary smaller cross in the stations? The cross in the woods is the 12th station. It's perfect.
And then
so we beat a quick retreat. We went back to 11, 12, 13, 14.
And at that point, we were done with our stations, but there was still more to see. There was this beautiful statue of St. Francis, which happened to be positioned clearly intentionally, but at the same time, just right, so that the worshipful St. Francis of Assisi is gazing directly at the cross in the woods.
And in this statue, St. Francis clearly has the stigmata. And we remember that he was praying before a crucifix when suddenly it spoke to him, and he then received the stigmata.
But for the most part, that was our trip. It was an excellent trip. We highly recommend it. There were other things.
Don't forget the shrine.
Yes.
Or the shed.
Yes. So one of the things that we found while we were there, and I think I counted at least 3 of them, is 3 small little it was three small little.
There might be more.
There were at least 3 small little shrine type little chapel type shrines. Each one maybe big enough to hold like 4 or 5, maybe half a dozen people tops.
Yeah. We went into the Divine Mercy Chapel, where there's a 3-dimensional representation of the Divine Mercy image. There's votive candles that can be lit.
They are all electronic, so that they are not as much of a hazard to the structure itself, being that they are unattended. But they work. It also makes using them very nicely. As you go in, you offer you make a little offering of the financial sort, of course, as you do with a candle altar. And you just
candles don't buy themselves.
Exactly, and you just press a little push button on the top. Electricity also doesn't buy itself.
Precisely.
But you just press the little push button, and it's on the top of this red glass jar, and inside there's a little electronic candle that lights up.
And it looks just like a votive candle.
Looks just like a votive candle, and burns for I don't know how long, but
I'd say probably at least an hour.
Probably at least an hour. Maybe 3 or 4. Yeah. Long enough that it's going to be there lit the entire time that you're there, and probably a little while afterwards. And we went in, and we lit our candle. We said some prayers. It's just a fantastic little place. It's very nice. It feels out of the way,
but it's really not.
But it really isn't. It's literally right off of the main road. You practically can't miss. I mean, you pretty much can't miss it.
You almost had to go out of your way to miss it.
Yeah. Had we followed my Google Maps, which was probably to the wrong address, we would have missed it. But there was this nice big sign that said, cross in the woods this way.
I think your Google Maps would have taken us to that other, church on the property.
Yeah, and like the long way around to get there.
Exactly. So the shrine was the church was closed when we were there. So we didn't see the interior of the church, which has this giant window, so that as your mass is being set indoors, like in the winter, you can see the cross. And we also didn't see what would be Jess's not favorite part,
or maybe her favorite part. I don't know.
Certainly the part that would most occupy her attention, the Nun Doll Museum.
Yes.
Which, of course, if one is of a certain bent of mind, would be pure nightmare fuel. Mm-hmm. So we didn't see that.
But only because the gift shop was closed at the time that we were there.
Otherwise, we totally would have.
We totally would have seen it.
Mm-hmm.
And either would have been in trouble for having gone without Jess, or been in trouble because you know that place has got to be haunted. Why would you go there?
As soon as you got back home, she'd just start spewing holy water at you.
Yep.
So, if you are ever in northern Michigan, or if you are taking a trip to either Mackinac Island or the Upper Peninsula beyond, we firmly recommend that you visit the Cross in the Woods in Indian River.
It's really near the highway, so it's not like you have to make a big detour to get there.
Nope.
It's very much an enjoy at your own pace. Mm-hmm. We were there for maybe an hour-ish.
It's worth a trip from southern Michigan just on its own. So if you can add it to a trip you're already taking, you really have no excuse.
But we didn't have to be there that long.
No,
we were there as long as we chose to be there. Mm-hmm. But at the same time,
it was natural.
Exactly. At the same time, we could have spent more time there had we been so inclined.
Amen.
So it's a very flexible pilgrimage site. You don't have to necessarily make a whole lot of plans to include it in a trip. If you're going to be somewhere within a reasonable driving distance of it, you really have no good reason not to go.
Stop by. You owe it to yourself.
Except for maybe if the weather was really inclement.
If it's the middle of a blizzard.
Or torrential downpour.
I don't know, man. Think about St. Patrick's Purgatory. Think about how penitential it would be if it was raining.
All right, fair enough.
Cats and dogs.
Fair enough. Bring an umbrella.
Of course, I say this having been there on a lovely clear day.
Yes, it was a beautiful clear day.
You're nice and cool in northern Michigan, so not too hot.
Exactly. But we strongly encourage you to go. And that all being said, go down below and in the comments section, let us know what you think of, have you been to the Cross in the Woods? Are there any other places you think that we should go and do, and so we can tell you about the other fantastic pilgrimage sites?
Other Popish Plot pilgrimages we should take.
Exactly. Mm-hmm.
You can also let us know where there are even creepier doll museums.
Mm-hmm. And while you're down there, make sure you hit the bell, or hit the subscribe button and the bell next to it so you get notified when new stuff comes out. And share us with your friends.
And give this episode a like.
And that's the other one. That's the one I was forgetting.
Mm-hmm. But definitely share. Everyone deserves to see this.
Everyone deserves to see us. Some people deserve to listen to us. Other people would just enjoy listening to us. So you decide which is which.
Again, we have at least one confirmed conversion that is partially attributable to just going over to someone's house, putting on the Popish Plot on continuous play, and letting God do the rest.
You can't convert somebody, but God sure as heck can.
Even through us.
Exactly. Even through unworthy vessels such as ourselves.
All things are possible through God. We are unprofitable servants. We do no more than we've been commanded.
Exactly. And until next time, remember to live your faith.
Love your faith.
And share that love.